This is our first one of 2021. Obviously 2020, although it's 2020, I guess in hindsight, can't be gone fast enough. On the sales community front, we're continuing to get great feedback, great engagement. So for those that are members, thanks. For those that are not, I encourage you to go check out the community. We're getting a lot of great wins in terms of comments of positive things that people are getting. So definitely worth their time and their money. And if I can help with any networking or any other things as well, please let us know. And all of our past events for this, as well as the tech sales insights, as well as your 10X are all posted. And you'll see all the upcoming events coming as well. A lot of real terrific programs. So anyway, more importantly, today, this is number 8 in our series of Designing Your Own Life. It's been a pleasure to tag team with Tony Geary. I call him the results guy. He's a strategist, but a lot of these strategists or strategy people are kind of pie in the clouds, so to speak. And with Tony, you get a lot of specific actionable items that are maybe more tactical that can help. But he's been a longtime friend and executive coach. So this will be a great program, strategic preparation while selling from home. And then as a reminder, we have on January 19th, 2 weeks from now, we're going to do a highlight of the Design Your Life sessions that we've done. And then we'll also be giving you a little bit of a look-see at the end of this in terms of the next 9 sessions that we're going to have teed up during 2021. So, Tony, all yours.
Thanks, buddy. This book here, Strategic Preparation, I've been excited to launch it. We launched it. We wrote it, then put it on hold. And now we are officially in print. And we pulled together some of the key pieces today. So let me encourage everybody, as I do every time, to make sure you have your pens out. So you take a note or two and also take a picture or two. For those of you that don't know my deal, take a picture if you see a slide you like. We're going to open up first off with a challenge. Prior to the challenge, though, I'd like to talk about, Lauren, if you'd help me out, I'd like to talk about selling from home. And I put together a few things here. As far as our process today, we're going to refresh kind of working from the home. That'll be the first slide. Then we'll do a challenge. Then we'll tie into 12 things that I pulled from the table of contents. And Eloise and I and team prepared yesterday for you. And then we'll go into closing comments. We want to continue to push your thinking. Every time we're doing this, we want to go fast, push your thinking. We want to motivate you to go to the next level. And we believe preparation is a big deal. No one objects to it on the call. I know that. I'm refreshed from selling from the home yesterday. When we put this slide up, Tucker had a couple of thoughts. Tucker, you still on with us?
I am, yeah.
Absorb these 10 things. I know everybody now is used to being on the screen a lot. Kind of just do a chat for me if you would, just to do a check. How many hours a day are you on the screen? Do some chats. Let's see. How many hours a day? Just look at this real quick. And then I'll turn it to you, Tucker. Do some chats. How many hours a day, guys, are we on? 6 to 8, 8, 7, 6, 6.5, 4, 8, 6.5, 6, 8, 4. All right, probably at least 6. That's a lot of hours, and I'm guessing a lot of that is selling. We're getting pretty good at it, I'm sure. All of us are sharpening when we're working from home. Tucker, what was on your mind when you saw this slide yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple key themes just from what's being chatted about in the sales community. I think one that people are continuing to evolve and work on is setting up your space. So really making sure, your surroundings, your environment, you have the right desk, whether it be a standing desk, something the right chair if you're sitting down. That's definitely been a popular topic of conversation, but also just, in what the sales community is, sharing best practices with others. So being able to use some resources that you wouldn't necessarily always have access to, and really being able to, get some new ideas, share some new ideas that you're working on as we continue to, find some new best practices as we continue selling and working from home.
Randy, anything on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, all these are fantastic, and thinking I'm in kind of a friend's house due to some COVID issues with family. Everybody's fine, but I had to kind of here's my room, so that's kind of bad. So I got to try and adjust and make sure you got that all straight and make sure this screen's clean and you can hear and you can see, and that all works. A lot of things you kind of took for granted in the old days. You got to kind of overthink and prepare ahead of time on top of agendas and what you're going to say and who's going to say and what the value prop is and relationships and all the other laundry list of important items.
What's the cowboy behind you, your shoulder there, Randy? I didn't know if you're wearing cowboy boots today or not.
Some fancy something or other. I don't know.
I didn't know, it's always good to have a good prop. I keep a few books around as props, and I didn't know if your cowboy was your prop today, Randy.
No, it was completely unintentional. So
Okay. Well, I like it. Hey, anybody else want to share anything? Just one or two before I go into my challenge. One or two things. Anybody got something that you discovered, your team discovered, that might be valuable to put out to the community here as far as working and selling from home? Any little nuance that's kind of like, what do you got, Eric?
I've been doing this since August of '94, work from home. Been a remote sales guy for a long time. Well, I've seen it happen time and time again. People get burned out because there is no longer a work component of your life and a home component of your life. It's all jammed together. And so it's great as the employer, as the sales leader, because you get tons more productivity, or at least more. You get more people doing more, but you can face some significant burnout, right? So I've seen it with, especially lately. Can't go anywhere, can't see anybody, can't hug anybody, and you're working around the clock. So you gotta get your guys to peel away. Find ways to get your guys and gals to peel away.
Good, Eric. Good point. Anybody else?
Hey,
Best practices work from home.
hey, Tony, it's Mike Corda. How you doing today? I'm actually new. Hey, how you doing? I'm actually new to the sales community. Very excited here. One of the best practices that I've actually used over the past year, 9 months actually, is as salespeople. I mean, I'm used to being in the office all the time. I'm used to collaborating with the teams, best practices, and all that. So what I actually did for our team is I set up a standing call at 8:30 in the morning with the whole team that we can just shoot the shit, talk about whatever we want before we get going for the day. And then a bi-weekly happy hour, like on a Thursday afternoon, just an excuse for the team to get back together, just to, have that collaboration that we're used to having in the office when we're in between meetings.
Yeah. The whole energy thing comes from being able to connect, even like the sales community here, where we have little interactions, kind of fun. And I think kind of the standard there, I like it. Good thinking. Appreciate it, Mike. Anybody else?
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah, I just think even setting up, when you talked about setting up your space, once you've got that, then it's like you said there, though, but eliminating distractions, because boy, that's really easy to get off your rails throughout the day.
Yep. All right, guys, ready for the challenge? Here we go. The challenge slide's coming up next. Let's see if we can click it. 1, 2, 3. The challenge says, of the 12 things I'm about to go over, each one has between 2 and 4 subs. My challenge is to pull something out that really means something to you today, where you say, this is really valuable use of my time. So we've got 12 things we're going to go over. Each one has between 2 and 4 subpoints. Get ready. Here's the challenge. See if you can find some really good things that would say it was valuable for me to be involved today. Number 1, have real clarity in what you want. So one of the things I'm proposing, that I proposed in this book, Strategic Preparation, regarding selling, is, are you really clear about the things you want? Do you want a relationship? We had some folks into the Results Center here just about an hour ago, maybe an hour and a half, and I told them that I didn't want just a slight piece of business from them. I wanted an ongoing relationship where they had built up some business over the last 10, 12 years, and they really wanted my help in building it further. And so being really clear, I think, is something that a lot of people aren't maybe as tight as they could be. Clarity is a big deal. You guys know that. It's on the wall behind me. There's clarity. There's focus. There's clarity over there. Everybody see that? So you get clarity. Being really clear is important. I launched a book in Australia about 18 months ago. Some of you may have heard it. The book is about, it's called Living Life Smiling. And as I launched this book, we created a happiness index. And in our preparation, we thought we would include this under the clarity button. So this is not related directly to sales. This is related to being clear on really what makes you happy. So there's going to be 6 items on this next little matrix that I'd like to unfold. And I'd like to just see if you wouldn't mind, let's start one at a time, and let's play the chat game, you guys, if you would. Get your chat ready. On a 1 to 10, how would you rate your overall significance? Like, are you doing things that really matter? Are you aligned with your values? Every day, are you living on purpose? Are you like people that are happiness really are living in significance? So I got some high numbers, 8, 9, and 10 so far. Keep chatting in. Great. 7, 8, 8, 8, 8. A lot of 8s, a lot of 7s, mainly 8s. Deidre, got it. Thank you. Anu, good to see you there. You got an 8. So number 1 is make sure you're really clear on what you value and you're living in your significance. Number 2, money. What I believe is this, when we did the research on what makes people the happiest, is you've got your cash reserves in order, your financial security is rolling, you're saving and investing the right amount, and money is kind of like organized, if you will. All right, 1 to 10, how are we doing on that? Do we have our financial reserves, our budget in check, and the economics are working for us? Money does matter. Like if you have the right money, think about it. We say this in the book. When someone is in need, maybe they've got a broken tire and they can't afford to fix it, you can put it on your credit card and you could do something for someone you can't normally do if your money's not right. If your money's really right, you can do things for others, and you can get a lot of happiness from altruism. So it's not just about buying stuff for yourself, it's also doing things, of course, for others. The I is inspiration. Every morning, do you get up energized in your current situation? Are you motivated? Do you have the gratitude so you're inspired? Got some bigger numbers here. Being inspired every day helps us sell more, right? The whole gratitude thing is something that I think all of us know. Dan Sullivan really preaches that heavy. For those of you that might have been involved in some of his things, we become more inspired, we do better. How about lifestyle? Have you set yourself up where you're like loving your life, where you get up every day, you got the great diet, you got the exercise going, you got the positive mental thinking, you've created a home versus a house. Look at there, got a couple of 10s here on lifestyle. Lifestyle is important. It's different. Think about it, guys. I'm with Randy. Like 2020 could have gone by faster. It's like rate of roll. And yet at the same time, you know, building the lifestyle that you want really does matter. Next is engagement. There was a book that came out from the guy that wrote, what was the name? Flourish, one of the most powerful books I've ever read, Flourish. And he said engagement really does matter. And I 100% agree, wrote it in our book. Like, are you engaged in what you're doing? Are you engaged in your family? Are you engaged in your work? Are you engaged in your friendships? Yeah, man, we got a few 10s. Those are some big numbers. All right. Seems to be a pretty happy group here, Randy. How about success? You live a happy, fulfilled life. You're excited about life. You're sticking to what you said you're going to do. You're living life that you're proud of. Success. Got some more 10s, an 8, 9, 10, 7. Okay. So take a picture of that. I'm going to go ahead and click on to number 2 of our 12. Great piece, the happiness index. Constantly be thinking about, it's not just about, do we sell more? Do we make more? Do we really have the happiness that we want? So just a thought there under clarity. Being really clear helps you be happier. Let's go to number 2, build and nourish rich relationships. I love having the idea that Randy lives out all the time, constantly doing favors in advance. I think it builds our brands when we do that. Eric, you and I have that same thinking. I so appreciate you over the years as you've opened doors for us. You have that constant thinking, and I know many of you on the line that are part of the community have that same thinking. Here's one for you. If I haven't unpacked number 4, let me encourage you to do that. I updated mine over the holiday. It's called People of Influence. And being able to think about who's going to be the most influential, going to have the most influential impact on your life, maybe on your sales, on your results this year, and making a list of those people and making sure you're nourishing those relationships. It could be a colleague, it could be an assistant, it could be a team member, it could be a family member. And so if you haven't done that, that could be a takeaway where you actually take your phone out, list it out, people of influence, who are the people you really want to nourish, knowing your stakeholders, knowing who your champions are. And then we added this in our preparation, build rich relationships so you have a rich life. Second part, being strategic about your relationship is even more important in our COVID times. Randy, any thoughts that you want to add to this slide?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot with sales community that, you know, if you have great relationships, you kind of definitely have several legs up versus other people. And if you don't have great relationships, it's, you know, it makes it that much tougher in terms of trying to figure out, you know, how can you really get that trust? And a lot of people, I think, times think the relationships means, oh, we're going to do a favor, but I think it's the It's really the trust and respect of knowing that whatever is being represented or said, because there's that history and trust, then that relationship helps expedite a sales cycle, where if it's not there, definitely makes it a lot harder.
Yep. Favors, favors, favors. Do things for people. Build your brand. Focus in on your people of influence. Know who all the stakeholders are, and love on those champions. Let's go to number 3. Or is anybody else? Tucker, do you or anybody else want to make a comment on number 2? I don't want to go too fast here, but I want to keep the energy going. Right, Dan?
Absolutely.
Yep. Anybody comment on this one? Nourishing. Nourishing, nourishing, nourishing. Loving on your relationships. Okay. We'll go to number 3. Here we go. Communication matters. I pulled a few things here. Some we've touched on. Be ready for tough questions. I believe a lot of people in the sales arena are pretty good at the first bullet point. And I ask you, if you're in some kind of leadership role, are you taking the things that you already know in your mind as far as how to respond to tough questions and passing that down to your team? Are you putting yourself in other people's shoes? I know that's one I got to work on all the time. I catch myself after a phone call, I'm selling on the phone, and I'm like, did I really put myself in their shoes? What do they really care about? This morning we had a call with a HR director, and I was sitting there going, okay, am I doing features enough? Am I giving benefits enough? And am I listening enough to be in their shoes? They had a budget cycle. I didn't know that, where that was at. They had revealed that. So putting myself in their shoes, could I give them information that would fit whatever they needed for that budget cycle? And really listening and putting ourselves in other people's shoes matters. Remember back a few months ago in November, of the November 24th session, which is of course posted on the site, we did the whole DIS thing, communicating to others the way they want to receive it. Comments, Eric, what goes on your mind on this one?
What I've learned from you and Randy is communicating in the DISC profile, making sure that, the simple things like Randy always said, 2 ears, 1 mouth, shut your mouth and listen. I've told my guys for years and years and years, customers will give you every answer. You just have to ask them. And I'm old enough to remember the Columbo approach. You just sort of stumble into a few questions and boom, answer's there. Answer is there. I just need to, and I do it all the time. I catch myself and I try to listen, and I'm trying to teach my 2 adult boys, and that's hard.
Yeah, listening's good, isn't it?
Yep.
Terry, you just popped up. What's on your mind?
I actually think this is an important one, especially in COVID times. So, being very present in the communication, kind of paying attention, listening carefully, and anytime you can use video, I just think it's better, just to kind of help with that, extended communication by experiencing the video as well as audio.
Terry, do you think you can get so good at selling on the web that in some cases it might be better than being in person?
It's certainly more efficient if you do it well. I think it probably depends upon the product or technology that you're selling.
Yeah. Anybody else want to comment on that? Can selling be more effective, more efficient, because you can get the action? Like, for example, if you want to bring a sales engineer in and someone gets sick and you're in person and now you don't have the person, but here you can call someone in, zap them right in on the call, and you're there. Like, those are kind of things that are real today, and we're figuring out, all of us are figuring out. So my question to the group here, could we potentially say that selling online might be more effective?
Gartner just interviewed Michael Dell, and he said 50% less travel even after vaccine.
Yeah. 2020 changes forever, guys. We got to get exceptional at communication, whether we're in person or Joe, you got something?
Well, yeah, to that point, I think communication is one of those things that a lot of people will say, well, Tony's just a natural communicator. And, you or whose ever name you want to put into that sentence, you're good at communicating because you practice it. I think it's one of those things that's important to remember. It's a skill that can be learned, that has to be practiced regularly to get good at it and to maintain, because what you need to be a good communicator, I think, changes from person to person, from different sales situations, whether it's online or face-to-face. It's a constantly moving target, and you have to practice it just like you do product knowledge or anything else.
Joe, you triggered a question I'd like to put out to everybody. Get your chats ready, if you would, guys. On average, how many times in a week do you debrief a sales call? Or you say, I'm going to get better, and you're saying to one of your colleagues, friends, associates, is that something that you could take away from today's training, or are you already pretty good at it? Where you're really like every day, I want 2 and 3 times a day when I'm on the phone selling, I'm going to my team going, what did I miss? How do we do? What can we do better? Because I want to get better. Joe's right on. Like if you want to sharpen it, it's sharpen it, sharpen it, sharpen it. Where are we at on that, guys? Are we sharpening like we could? We all know to do it. Phil says every one of his people, every meeting, love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Brooke says not enough. That's probably the real answer.
Yeah. So whatever your number is, get better at it, right? There's a takeaway for many of us. Debrief, Walmart, one of the best companies in the world on execution. What I learned from them was COE, correction of errors, constantly be refining, having huddles, and deciding how you can be better. Number 4 of our 12. Let's go for it. Here we go. Maybe I am. Would you help me, please? We're going to go to number 4. Being ready. Confidence comes from being ready. If you really dissect nervousness down, there's a couple of distinctions. A lot of people have asked me to help them with that over the years. I remember I was coaching the president of Sam's many years ago. And one of the things that I really taught him was the concept of breathing spaces. And another thing that I taught him is you didn't have to be perfect. And if you're more ready, the more you've taken the unknowns to the known, the more ready you are. Are you organized and thought through the day? Have you have a backup plan for everything you can? Did you plan for the what ifs? Someone shows up late, someone shows up early. Are you really presentation ready? And do you know the critical success factors of the people that you're selling to? Being ready matters. The more ready you are, the more confidence you have. And I think people feel that either in person or on the phone. So I'll put that out there. Randy, any thoughts? Tucker?
Yeah, I mean, I think, excuse me, I like the 4th one there, be presentation ready. We were working with some SDR teams earlier on in the year and really saying, all right, we need to, from a discovery standpoint, really just have a conversation and be able to identify their pains, identify, what their current situation looks like, what their future state wants to look like, and have some presentations ready if the conversation goes in that direction, but don't just, lead with PowerPoint and sort of walk through in a too scripted manner.
Tucker, when I wrote my first bestseller called Life is a Series of Presentations, we came up with 60 specific things you could do to be better in all your presentations, and that was too many. Then we tucked it down, brought it down, Tucker, we brought it down to 8. Number 8 was a concept called planned spontaneity. And we said the more presentation ready you are, the more spontaneous you can be with your presentation, right? And so if everybody on the line doesn't own that one, although we didn't note it specifically, it ties to the bullet that you pointed out. Presentation ready allows us to be spontaneous, and spontaneous is powerful. People like people that are real. If you're canned, not so good. Too mechanical, not so good. Comments?
Sorry, Tony. I was going to say, I know your presentation mastery. I know your pitch. I know how you do this. But what I would say is your customers' critical success factors know how they're judged, know how they're paid, know how they're rewarded, know what makes them successful. Sell to it.
That's good. I can get better on that one. That's a great one. When we talk 2 slides back about putting yourself in their shoes, how do they win? Right? Knowing that, and then you speak to how they win. Again, people decide, not companies. And if you understand how to help people win, it's so good. Good one, Eric. Thanks for bringing
Like
that
a
out.
love language with your wife. My wife's love language is money. More money.
Hey, that's actually one of our sessions we're going to have in the beginning of February.
It is, Eric. We actually are going to do that.
I'm a straight man for you, boss. I'm a straight
Love
man.
languages.
Good setup, Eric. All right, investing in your future, auditing yourself and ask, am I better today than I was a year ago? As we crossed over the year, ask yourself, are you better today? Is your mindset better today? Is your health better today? When you invest in yourself, it's a powerful thing. Obviously, investing by being part of our sales community here, like being healthier. Like if you're sliding, you got to catch yourself and say, self, a year from now, I want to be able to answer, I am better today than I was a year ago. If you are, pat yourself on the back. And then this last one's quite interesting. when I teach goal setting, and I know many of you have read my books, heard me talk about this, 5 things that I teach, not just what you want to have, but what you want to give, share, experience, and most importantly, what do you want to become? If you haven't really tagged that out for this year, what do you want to become? Do you want to become an exceptional leader? You become exceptional at pouring into others. You want to become an exceptional parent, you know? Hey, Brooke, we hadn't heard from you. I hadn't seen you in a while. Brooke, you still there?
Sorry, I was on mute.
No problem. Brooke, tell us what you think about this slide. What's going through your mind?
I think you should definitely invest in yourself. I feel like it's only up to ourselves to just keep getting better at what we do. We can't rely on others. So joining groups like this, reading sales books, networking, doing whatever you could do to better yourself, because none of us are perfect.
How about the old adage, the more you learn, the more you earn? You buy that?
Yeah, yeah.
Why do most people don't adopt that? I mean, we're all in the community here because we buy it, right? There's not
Yeah.
a single one of us that's listening today, whether you're listening to the recording or listening live, that doesn't own that, or you wouldn't be on this.
Right.
My point, though, is I think we're more rare than we are the majority.
Mhm.
Do you agree?
I
Like
agree.
most people buy it, but they don't live it.
Yeah.
Like
say
if you
most-
ask yourself, how much are you reading every week? Is it 20 minutes, 2 hours, 10 hours? You know, how much are you being coached? How much are you really doing the audit of yourself, as it says here, to get better? So
Right.
again, I'm preaching to the choir. We're all together on that one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's easy to let that fall to the side when you get so busy, but it's definitely important.
Learn, 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 and then model for our kids. Like our kids are watching us, you know, and they're saying, hey, is my mom or dad getting better? Are they growing, you know? All right, here we go. Number 6. This is something cool. Eloise pulled it from my goals, my personal goals, what I call my life file. And this is something I don't think most of us have seen here. So I'd like to bring it to life and see if you think it's interesting. Eric, have you seen this before?
It seems I have, but it's been a while.
So what I'm proposing here is when you really strategically prepare, you build things that you want to duplicate. What do you want to be like? So there's a guy, Beryl Walkie, passed away a few years ago. The guy was amazing at leveraging his time. He was just amazing the way that he maximized every minute. Joe Katz, an attorney out of Atlanta, incredible man, most incredible office experience I've ever seen. The way he had people around him building his office when someone came to visit, the environment, around you today. Is it inspiring? You know, I think of the Ritz-Carlton, one of my favorite places to hang out. They are just pristine. The grounds, I look outside my building here and sometimes in the morning I go in and I pick up little pieces of things just so that it's always manicured and inspires me when I look out the window. And so you can go down the list, and I would encourage you, if you've never done a likeness matrix and you want to get really clear, really prepare for your future, like, what do you want? Like, I want to have an office that every morning I come in, I'm inspired to be in that office. I want to have a database of cool connections. Number 6, I want to have accounting. My controller is just incredible, where my accounting is just on the spot, you know? What goes through your mind on this? Who hadn't been talking today? Who's on the line with us, Randy? Can you call on somebody? Who's on the line?
Absolutely. Scott Genero, you run some big teams in your lifetime. He's muted.
Scott, can you hear us?
All right, I'm going to go from big sales exec to SDR. Matt Doherty.
Matt, can
Yeah,
you hear
I
us?
think. Yeah, I'm on. Hey, Tony. Hey, Randy.
Hey, buddy.
So when I think about this, I think, as an SDR, like Randy said, it's something that I haven't really thought of, but it's intimidating as kind of younger in my sales career. Thinking about what do I want, what do I have to have in my career, in my future, and I'm gonna go and take this and think about it now, and really put the work in and time in to figure out what those things are.
Love it, Matt. And so many
Yeah.
people won't.
And I'd offer up Mike Cordo. I don't know if you know or not, but he's been very successful at ServiceNow, your company. So he might be somebody you want to connect with or be an example of. And Scott Jenner, I think you had yourself unmuted.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I couldn't figure out how to unmute for a second. Look, I think this is really important, as we've already as Tony just talked about. I mean, especially when you start thinking about the model changes, what's going on in the industry. You got to be thinking about all this type of stuff.
Yep. It's just a level of detail, pushing your thinking. As I challenged you at the beginning, which one of these things matter to you that can take you to another level? Some of the things are pretty normal. The bullet points go a little deeper. All right, let's go to number 7. Sharpen your focus. Are you investing their time in the right activities? This is another hit on the HLAs. Everybody knows that I keep singing it. Of all the things behind me, all the courses I've ever done, the number one thing, the absolute number one thing that has come out of anything that I published is less low leverage activities and more high leverage activities. Sharpen your focus. I think everybody's got that by now. If you haven't, own it. Like, are you really putting most of your time into the things that matter the most? Use your systems and process. This is something I'd like to introduce to you, is the concept of backstage and front stage. So most salespeople, I would consider like front stagers, and you're the one that are interfacing in with prospects and maybe into accounts, into our clients. And then we have backstage people, maybe like a sales engineers, sales op, or maybe the entire marketing team, and having the marketing team really synergize with sales, where you have the backstage, front stage working together. Like, is that something you need to work on? Like, is that something in your company you could promote more of? Randy, I think you had a comment or two when we were rehearsing on this one. Anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, not to throw marketing under the bus, because some are useful, but Tony's first answer was, of course, marketing. So, well, it's probably more the exception as opposed to the rule. But certainly, the SE side, I mean, anybody on the sales side would be, again, depending upon the B2B enterprise selling motion, but, sales, the sales engineering team and your ability to sync with and tag team and kind of do everything there is, probably vital in all situations. And certainly, marketing can help with, it's kind of lead gen and air cover and, sales ops, certainly, but it's, I kind of view the reps and SEs are the ones that are kind of in the middle of the desert, fighting away while everybody else is maybe sitting nice and cozy in the Pentagon.
Think about it. Think about when we go see a play in New York, and you walk away from the play or wherever you saw it, London, Paris, anywhere, and you're going, wow, that was a fantastic experience. And you're like, you watch the expressions on someone's face or how they really brought the character to life, and you're impressed. And sometimes we don't think about all the people behind the scenes that are kind of backstage people that are making all the things happen. And if we want to be the best we can be, we want to prepare together with the front stage and backstage people. So that's my pitch on number 8. Build a system so you have front stage, backstage. Number 9, focus what you want to bring to the meeting. I highlighted one here when Tucker and I and Randy and Eloise were, again, preparing. This is the one we thought would be best to highlight. Are you really customer centric? Are you really bringing that thinking to the table? Are you really helping the customer win? And as Eric said, are you thinking about what their KPIs are? Are you thinking about what's important to them? Are you thinking about how they get paid, how they build their career? Because those are the things on their mind. So what are you bringing to the table is something to be thinking about.
And I was talking about SEs before, and I just noticed Alex Lawrence, I don't know if I see you muted. I don't know if you're in a position to talk, but do you want to chime in with any thoughts?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so on that, basically, don't treat your SEs as a background like task in your operation. Treat them as your equal and upfront with everything else. We can do a lot to really push a deal along and build those relationships in ways that are much harder to do because they view salespeople as a sales guy, right? You can get your SE as a trusted advisor and have a really incredibly strong relationship in those accounts that keep on coming back to you regardless of where you go.
Good.
Great.
Excellent.
Yeah. Hey, Tony. Tony, my experience selling some pretty complex technology solutions, like many of us, the customer oftentimes wants to see some depth in the sales team. So even if I was capable of providing all the answers, I don't think they want to hear all the answers from me. So I think to the point that was just made, I think collaborating with and engaging the SEs and the extended sales team is absolutely necessary.
Yep. Okay, guys, we got 3 more to hit our 12, and then we're going to ask for some takeaways. Let's go to number 10. You want to help us there? Number 10. Oh, I hit that wrong way. There we go. How about your own state or your vibe? One of the things that I ask, being a person that does a lot of keynotes, let me just say this. I used to do a lot of keynotes for many years before COVID. Now I do a few. Is the whole idea about really being ready to be on, being in the right state. And I believe when we're selling, if we're in the right state, people feel that, meaning the right state of mind. And do you really protect your state and come to a sales opportunity with being in the right resourceful state? Anybody got a comment on how you do that? Because I think we all do it. Do we do it as strategic as we could be? Maybe not. Do you think about and manage your state? Like what you're doing right before? Like we start each of these 30 minutes prior. Randy and I, Tucker, Eloise, my team gets on because we want to be in the right state. And not all the time do you have that luxury to be able to have that upfront time. We're just intentional. And I'd like some comments on that. How do you really manage your own state? So you got that vibe when you're selling. Anybody?
All right, Paul Gallico.
Yeah, you're ready. Well, I'll tell you, I think, a lot of it is in our own individual approach to meeting preparation. But I agree with the bullets here, positive thoughts, and kind of going into a meeting with the confidence that your presentation ready and that you're ready to hold the right business conversation with a prospect, and being positive in your own attitude and trying to, minimize any personal distractions that might be swirling around in your head just prior to the meeting. So I think that's.
I didn't say that, Paul, but that's exactly what I was getting to. You got to really protect your mind.
Yep.
You just nailed it because we all got personal things. Life happens.
Yep.
Things happen.
Absolutely.
I broke a glass this morning. So I got my up and down window and I'm brushing my teeth and I'm coming to get to a meeting and I close my medicine cabinet, bing, and it breaks the glass. And I'm like, it's a $3 glass. I'll be okay.
Exactly.
My wife helped me. And you cannot sit there and go, okay, wow, that was dumb. You just like, okay, don't break it again. Go for it.
Yep.
And boom, move on. And so really managing your state. And I just encourage, as Paul said, when things happen and manage it. All right, 2 more things, guys. Of the 12, delayed gratification. I've written quite a bit about this beyond in the strategic preparation book. I am so fascinated with how some people manage delayed gratification. Some go overboard and they don't keep themselves inspired. And I think there's a balance between how do you inspire yourself today with little bitty rewards, with time away, with appreciation, with buying something for yourself, giving a gift, versus being prepared and delaying the gratification for the future. Being a person that loves arsenals, sometimes you have to delay the use of a tool because you have to build it first. And if you really want to be great at sales, you have a great arsenal. And you have to delay the gratification of whatever that tool is you built because you have to put the time in now and you're going to use it over and over and over in the future. Randy, what do you, on point number 2, did you have a thought from yesterday you might want to share?
Probably. Can you remind me what it was?
I think what you were.
How's that to be open? I can make up something.
Okay, no. What I remember is you had mentioned the advisory board, and there's several different things that we touched on. One, many of the advisory board members, I think some of them are on the line with us, are helping us with our book, right? And so we're not quite finished with the book on the timeline we have. We delayed the gratification of the book to make sure that we really got the best content in that book, and so thinking through all that where you delay the, hey, you got the book done, man, everybody, we got it, versus making it really exceptional. I don't know.
Yes, and I'm honored. So to be totally authentic and fully open, I think that's where you're going to say, well, Randy, it's great you got all these relationships in the advisory board, but it's a two-way street. So certainly great to have so many great sales executives that have so much experience helping us along the way here with the book and sales community.
Absolutely, and I go a double on that one. Appreciate it. Number 12, last of the 12. Here we go. Keep the energy going. Couple more minutes, guys. My big pitch for thinking. In my book, Results Faster. In my course, Results Faster. The number one thing, summarizing 44 of my first books, is it starts with thinking. Are you thinking to the level you could? A big secret to success is thinking. My late president told me, thinking's not easy. Thinking's hard. Most people don't do enough of it. What do? They keep doing their to-do list and they don't step back and think. If you really want to be prepared, think. Think who you want to become. Think what you want to do. Think about your day. Think about a backup plan. Think about your arsenal. Think about your health. Think about your beard, like we started off the call with today, right? All right, let's go into highlights real quick. And I'd ask everybody, if you would, to think about what's the one or two, not 20, not 10, not 7. What's the one or two things? I've highlighted 5 things here that might be of most interest, just kind of guessing them in our preparation. Billy, you said likeness matrix. You like that one, huh? Tell us why.
I just like the idea of capturing the way you had it captured. You had a lot of, it wasn't just on one topic, like the fact that you had a lot of different things you were paying attention to. And I might capture one thing that's business related, but I like the variety of things that you had captured.
Eloise, can you tell Billy what you pulled? How many did I have in that whole matrix?
Oh gosh, that was probably just one page of, we'll say 100 different things that are captured, Billy. So when we get into this, we can get you a copy of the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's just so powerful if you want to go to that level of detail. Not everybody does. And I just believe in strategic preparation. That's why I put the book out, and hopefully you guys can feel it. It's just not just like a subject that I go, oh, it's like I really believe in it. And that likeness matrix is a cool deal. What else, guys?
We didn't, you didn't really cover it, but it's always important. Matt Whalen highlighted the saying no.
You know, I didn't hit that. Thanks, Randy, as much as I should have. In the Results Faster book, we had 7 modules and 21 lessons. The lesson that comes out oftentimes that people appreciate is being strategic about saying no. And the thing that I often teach, maybe you've heard it, I'll repeat it if you have, and if you haven't, you get it. Here it is. Someone often asks every day for time on your calendar. Can I have 30 minutes, Randy? Can I have an hour? Can I have 15 minutes? And oftentimes you can say, instead of an hour, could we do it in 30 minutes? And oftentimes they say yes, and you accomplish the objective. You've really said no to the entire time, and you gave them what they wanted. So you strategically said no to granting them an hour, and oftentimes in 30 minutes you can accomplish it. So I'm proposing that sometimes saying no, you can be more effective with your time, and you can also give people what they really want if you're clear on your high leverage activities. Thanks, Randy, for reminding me that. Saying no is powerful.
Aside there, I use something called Calendly. So it's Calend, then I guess LY at the end, which is great because you do a lot of kind of back and forth, wasting time to schedule the time. And I start off, I think, in an hour, then 45 minutes, and then probably into the summer, I went to 30 minutes. And then now I'm thinking about seeing if I can take that to, 20 minutes. But you want to be respectful, or you do 15 minutes. You can say somebody do 15 minutes, or if they're, you think it's worthwhile, you can do 2 or 3 kind of concurrent sessions. But that's a way kind of to programmatically, try and do it without being too rude.
Randy, when I was coaching the president of Walmart at the time, the largest company in the world, 2.1 million people reporting to him, we would grant 5-minute increments on his calendar. You walked into his office, you got 5 minutes. I mean, it was like, manage your time. Who else? What are you taking away? We want some more good ones. What stood out to you, Eric?
For me, it's all about the network, right? It's all about the network, the relationships, customers, partners, professionals, colleagues, sessions like this. There's the 7 degrees that Randy cited. That'll get you anywhere in any job. So those are all good for me.
Love it, dude. Love it. Who else? Anu,
Tony, with some of the young people that I've been working with, they don't know that balance between confidence and arrogance. And, I want them to be confident when they're presenting their material, but they forget to ask questions. They're just bullying their way through the material without understanding the client, without asking the questions, and they come across not as confident, but as arrogant. And so trying to show that fine line and help them be on the right side of that fine line can be challenging,
Yep.
especially with some of our younger sellers.
Good point, Anu. Who else, guys? We got a couple more minutes and we'll still finish early. What else?
Tony, I'm
Take it away.
going back to relationship building and nourishing your relationships. Number 3, it got me thinking about something from a few sessions ago about building your life team. So I made a note to focus a little bit more on that for 2021, really know who those people are. And I took a page out of your book and brought some gifts to people who I normally wouldn't bring gifts to, at Christmas time. I went for my annual exam and I made sure I brought a little basket for the doctor. So those are all really good things. And who feels the best about doing those things? Me. It was a great experience.
Excellent. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it very much.
Tony, you talked about clarity and being prepared. You talked about debriefing. I think also pre-briefing before the call with your team is really critical to understand what others expect, what they may know about the account, et cetera, or the situation. So you're all on board with what you hope to achieve during the call.
Good, Dan. Good. Excellent. 1 or 2 more. Who else hadn't shared? Brooke, what's on your mind?
Sorry, I'm mute again. No, I mean, this was all very helpful. I'm an SDR right now, so I'm just new to sales in general. So just always like hearing from people who have a little bit more experience and learning more, but this has all been really helpful.
Cool. Thanks, Brooke.
Thank you.
Randy, pick up somebody else. Who else? Paul, are you there? John?
Yeah, clarity really stuck out because for me, it established really the motivation for everything. Right, knowing what you want in your personal and professional life really sets the tone for what will motivate me from that point forward. And I, like several of the others, I think the likeness matrix is critical because, they call them best practices for a reason, right? And if you can model yourself, in the form of other individuals or companies that you want to aspire to look like and behave like, then that's a great way to do it.
Paul, I preached the whole clarity deal in half for 10 years. And I'd like to make the statement that most people buy it. That they go, yep, clarity is a great thing. And yet what I see is a lot of people don't. They're squatters. Like they don't do squat about getting more clear. They're like, yeah, it's a good idea, Tony. Yep, need to be more clear. Yep, I understand the pulling power. And yet they don't take that likeness matrix to heart and go do it.
Yep.
Why do people not go take action? Because clarity matters.
Well, you have to think about it. So if you're not taking time to do the strategic thinking, number 10, you're not going to be able to form that clarity.
Yep. All right.
Tony, my comment is like the one thing I kept from all my dad's stuff. He sold for IBM for 27 or so years, and he had this on his desk. Anyone that's old IBM culture, everybody had this think placard. And, we live in such a fast-paced world, and even from selling from home, it's, there's a want to do things quicker and quicker, but it can also mean you make mistakes faster. So that concept of think for me applies to everything I do. Like think and get more clarity. Think about picking the right wave selection when it comes to opportunities. Think about positive thought. It guides me on a lot of things where it has stopped me from making some pretty stupid mistakes. And, it's okay if it takes another 15 minutes to do something right, or to do something, as you said about, think about taking a gift versus just showing up for your appointment. It's all those little things that make good people great, or can potentially make good people great. So this sits right on top of my desk. I stare at it every hour I'm sitting here or standing here.
All right, guys, so let's move to closure. Tucker, 1 point, then we'll take it to you, Randy. Do you close us out, please?
Sure. Yeah, I think for me, number 8, just execute. Use your systems to help you execute. I think just being disciplined in, maintaining those systems and keeping everything up to date, and, having that consistency and holding yourself accountable. I think it's, I think it was one of our first sessions where sort of the whole idea of accountability and actually like handwriting something down and looking at it, all of a sudden, you start thinking about it a little more often than you would if you had not physically written it down. So That's a big one for me.
Thanks, buddy. Randy, you want to close this out?
Absolutely. I just was thinking back. It's great I didn't get to call on him, but Nate Castillo, whose dad Phil Castillo would likewise, preach all this. But just great to see, and you're not allowed to talk ages, but kind of young and old, and Matt Doherty on there too as an example. So both kind of young, sales rep types, and certainly I and others can vouch that. This sounds great, but it's really most important to say, okay, based on this now, what are you going to do? What's your plan? What are your goals? We did a session on goaling, which is one of our first ones, October 6th. I've got a version of my goals that I'm going to be kind of eventually sharing on the sales community, but kind of just taking all this. It's great to see and say, and nod your head. But now it's okay. What are you actually going to do? So I would encourage you to certainly try and do that. And then as we are wrapping up in the chat room, some of you may have noticed some of your positive comments. We actually post on the sales community site, so you can get extra airtime and credit and exposure. So as we're wrapping up, any feedback that you have for us, would really appreciate if you could take the time and just put any of that in the chat here, and we're able to capture that. So thank you very much for all that. And certainly, Tony, another great session. The one that we have going in 2 weeks is going to be a summary of the highlights, and it's tricky. We're going to try with each one of these sessions. We've had a self-assessment. So we've got a self-assessment that kind of highlights each one. That's not 50 pages, trying to keep it kind of on one page or so. So I think that'll hopefully be a great self-reflection as we're doing it. And then just in case my chat is stuck, the idea would be if people could start putting in any kind of feedback comments into the chat, that would be great, just to clarify. Oh, and then Eloise, thanks so much for putting this up here. So this is kind of what we have as our, I think, tentative, almost finalized kind of next follow-on schedules, which will be the next 9 sessions. And Eric, as you prompted us before, so the I call them 5 love languages is kind of a common topic, but I think, perfect in time of Valentine's Day, and you can kind of shock your significant other. And I know with my wife, there's a newsletter thing I subscribe to, and I get it once a month, once a week. And then she'll say, oh, you just read that newsletter, didn't you? But anyway, and Tucker, do we have that posted in member recommendations, by the way?
Yes, it's in sales community. When we moved over to the new platform, member recommendations is under a different topic. So I'll do some digging and make sure we share that with everyone as well.
Let's make sure we have it. But we also have in sales community.
Hey, Randy, let's give a challenge to everybody in closure. For our last of our series of the 9, we're going to summarize a lot of the things we covered in the first 8. I challenge everybody to bring one person on your team that would enjoy it. And so next time we got some new faces. So think of somebody not just like to have, but who would enjoy it? Who would really get from it some real value? And I challenge everybody to bring one person to our summary piece coming up in 2 weeks. What do you think, Randy?
Yeah, great idea. And I think that would spur everybody on to say, wow, of those prior 8 sessions, there's probably 1, 2, or 8 that I want to go back and take a look at. And as a reminder, all these sessions are actually pre-recorded on our site. So if you want to share with any of your teams, feel free to go ahead. And we're still doing the kind of founding member 30-day free trial. So certainly no downside for anybody to take a look and try that, which I know a lot of you have. And we're all about engagement and the community that we can really bring together, which seems to be fantastic. For those, again, Matt Doherty, I think, had posted something in there. He's going from an SDR to a rep. So there's kind of those topics. And then there's, kind of CROs who are working on evolving from a SaaS, SaaS type model. So, the topics and levels, really span all areas. But what I really like is this is really kind of the go-to-market enterprise B2B, kind of engine and the best folks in the industry that are involved. So certainly thank you very much, everybody. And thanks, Tony. Anything else, Tony?
Well, good, guys.
All right. Okay, great. So again, thanks. We're getting some awesome notes in here. So keep it coming for your feedback. And as always, anything that I can do, please don't hesitate to reach out. I think my cell and email and LinkedIn and everything is everywhere. So I can't hide. So really enjoy helping each other or helping everybody as well. So Tony,